really chilling example of how the criminal justice system is not supposed to work.
Jeff, I mean, according to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump. And she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Well, that's, we live in a system where attorneys general and district attorneys in the United States, unlike almost any other country, are elected officials, are politicians. So they run for office making political statements. That's how our system works. It's not pretty. I don't think it's a great system, but there's nothing uncommon about it. The other point to make, though, is just because she made inappropriate comments, that doesn't mean she should get indicted for fraud years later. I mean, we're not supposed to live in a system of that kind of tit for tat. Criminal cases are supposed to stand or fall on their own merits.
David, I mean, there's no evidence that Letitia James's indictment stems from some widespread audit of thousands of mortgage applications. It seems that the president's allies were looking through her background to find something on her, and they found this. Isn't that kind of the essence of selective prosecution?
Yeah, so Anderson, just a couple points. Jeffrey makes a point that people, prosecutors are elected, they're political animals, but yet I've never, Jeff, maybe I'm wrong, you can point it out, I'm not aware of many prosecutors saying, I am going after this specific individual. They're usually political statements. I'm going to be tough on crime. I'm going to make your lives better, safer communities, those types of political statements, not I'm going to go get the governor. I'm going to take down the president of the United States. So I think that's a little too cute by half on that. And look, Letitia James, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. There is no small crime, as Jeff knows. This is relatively small potatoes, as you point out, Jeff, correctly, but it's still mortgage fraud. It's mortgage fraud. She signed on a piece of paper saying, I allege, I affirm, I swear that these facts are correct. For those of you who filled out a mortgage application, it says on there at the bottom, you fill it out, you sign your name, that this is going to be my secondary residence. She did that knowingly that she was not going to use it as a secondary residence. So that's fraudulently, allegedly fraudulently. And whether it's a small fraud or a big fraud, when you're the attorney general of a state committing fraud, it's a bad look. Anderson, and to answer your question directly, look, I think the Letitia James action was terrible. I think any selective prosecution is bad and should be rebuffed, whether it's by Letitia James or by this Justice Department. I think it's bad for America, the American justice system, and people's trust in our system.
Congressman, I mean, live by the sword, die by the sword. Is that the way the system should be?
Yeah, no. I mean, look, I think two things can be true here. I think the first thing is Letitia James never should have made those comments. She never should have run on, I'm going to go after him before she's seen the evidence, before she's had anything. That was wrong. Not illegal. That was wrong. And then at the same time, there is no doubt, and I mean, we can argue about it, but there's no doubt that this thing they went after her specifically for retribution, specifically because it was her. I mean, all you have to do is read the president's accidental fake tweet or whatever thing that's called posts, and know that he was basically saying, Pam, here are two people we have to go after, and then all of a sudden, boy, just miraculously, a new person comes in after the other person said that they didn't have enough to make a case and get indicted. This thing probably, like Comey's, is either going to be thrown out. I'm not a lawyer, so who knows? Either be thrown out before trial, or certainly will be seen as what it is, which is revenge. But I think we can hold Anderson. Both things are true. Letitia James never should have said that in the campaign, and also they are going after her for one reason, because it's her.
Jeff, do you think this will ultimately be prosecuted? Do you think it will be thrown out?
Well, I think this case has a better chance of going to trial than the Comey case, which is a very, very bizarre and weak case. But I mean, I think, I've heard from the James camp, they are going to dispute the factual allegations here. I mean, David is correctly repeating what the accusation is, but the James camp says there was no fraud here. That she had access to the house, it was not it purchased as an investment property. These are terms that have widely different definitions. I think it's very unlikely she'll be convicted. But and there's also the question of whether Halligan was correctly and legally named the U.S. attorney, and she's the only person who signed the indictment. So there's that issue as well. But it seems like a slightly better case than the Comey case, but that's a very low bar.
All right. Jeff Toobin, David Urban, Adam Kinzinger, thank you as always. A lot more ahead tonight. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deployment of National Guard troops to Illinois. We'll look at what could happen next as the president continues to push for them in Chicago. Also, a reaction to the Gaza ceasefire deal from Aoife Tyler. You may remember her cousin, Sheree Bibas, and two of Sheree's young boys were kidnapped on October 7th and murdered by Hamas. Here's what Aoife told me when I spoke to her.